going on, people on YouTube? It's your boy Soph. It's back with another video, and I just got something I wanna kind of riff on real quick. I was watching King of Lightning the other day, and then he said something. His video was totally not about this point, but it's just common. I want to say perception. A lot of people in the One Piece community have that I 100%. Excuse me. That I 100% don't agree with, and I don't see how anybody has this perception. But a lot of people seem to believe that Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji, after Luffy and Zoro lost on Water 7 and Sanji lost on the Sea Train, then from their point, when they got to Enies Lobby, they got stronger on the way there, and then they they just got stronger. That's just not correct. They were the same strength when they lost to CP9 the first time when they defeated them in this lobby. Actually, the Straw Hats were pretty much the exact same strength throughout the entirety of the beginning of the time skip. Very rarely, if not ever, never did they ever increase their power. And I'm gonna provide some arguments for that. And I know a lot of people probably don't. That's just not so clear. They got strong. Well, I mean. I suppose you could argue they probably incrementally get a little stronger. I don't know, but not necessarily, and not really. And I'll break this down. So I guess the easiest way to explain my reason for believing this, I guess I'll use Sanji, simply because of his the way his attacks are named and pattern is easier to follow. So let's go back. Say Sanji's first real major fight, at least after game. He fought and defeated Karubi in Arlong Park with the Muton shot. If you sometimes with Little Garden, etc., all this happens. And then Sanji's next major one-on-one fight was against Mr. 2. And the start of that fight, as the fight progressed, very early in it, Sanji used the Muton shot on Mr. 2, and it didn't work. Mr. 2 countered it with a kick of his own, and they both hit each other, and the fight kept going. From there on, the fight continued, and Sanji finished that fight with the Vo shot. If you go a little bit further to one of Sanji's next major fights against Jabra at CP9, at the start of that fight, when he first started getting into it, Sanji used the bull shot to try to put down Jabra. Jabra blocked it with his Tekkai and ended up counter-striking Sanji. And then Sanji stood up and said, that technique where you guys make your body as hard as iron is annoying. Something along the lines of that. Why am I mentioning this? Well, this is very important. What am I saying here? That tells me Sanji, as a fighter, has techniques, not necessarily that he used to judge his opponents, but he knows how strong his kicks are, and he'll use them accordingly. So, he defeated Kirby with the Muton shot. He tried to use the Mr. 2, it didn't work. He used the Vo shot. He tried to use that on Jabra, and that didn't work. What that tells me is that the Vo shot is probably, at least pre-time skip, one of base Sanji's strongest kicks, and as a fighter, Sanji can internalize that if he uses that technique on you and the fight's not over, that he's in for a tough fight. And that was literally the first time that's ever happened up until that point. If you follow the train of logic I'm going here, so from failing to defeat Jabra with the Vo shot, he used the Flambit shot. I do not think that was something Sanji learned on the way to Enies. I believe it's a technique he's always had. And Zeph taught him up until the first 19 years of his life before he met Luffy, and something he knew how to do, and he just never ran into the situation where he had to use it. Well, then of you ask, well, even if that's the case, well, you can say he always had the technique. Well, you saying Luffy and Zoro had Gear Second Ashura? No, I believe Luffy and Zoro created Ashura out of spur of the moment because of the nature of those techniques. There's nothing in Zoro's attack catalog that indicates that that's something he could do, but it's not necessarily even anything that we know to be real or physical. We have no idea if he's actually holding 9 swords or not. You see what I'm saying? It could all be some kind of illusion or something. We literally don't know what it is. As far as Luffy told CP9, or he told Bluno, I thought of a way that would help me fight with a lot more power. This is literally his words. He said, when we fought the first time, I thought you guys were disappearing, but when I looked closer, I realized you were just kicking off the air 10 times in a second. That tells me that as he was base Luffy, perception-wise, he was already on CP9's level. It's just his body could not mimic the action because it wasn't at the level of superhuman that CP9 was. So Luffy basically injected himself with steroids by accelerating his blood flow. And a lot of people say Luffy's not like just smart enough to just think of that, but he literally did do it. Like, so I don't understand how. I mean, Luffy's been rubber since he was 4 years old. If anybody is familiar with how his body works, it's him. If he had the idea, well, maybe if I pump my legs and then my blood would speed up, I'm not about to fault him for it. I mean, he bit a hole in his thumb and blew air into his fist. We're gonna, you know, those are techniques that could be led to, you could think of like, oh, of the Fly, as opposed to Gear Fort, where that's an infusion of Haki into rubber. You know what I mean? It's a lot different. And especially if you look at Gear Second and Gear Third, so Gear Fourth, Gear Second and Gear Third, he's basically just doing his normal techniques. They're just bigger or faster. With Gear Fourth, they're basically brand new techniques entirely. You could tell those were developed. But so the point I'm getting is they did not get stronger. So for all of you asking, well then, if that's the case, why did they lose the first time? Well, that's simple. If you have two people boxing, kickboxing, judo, jiu-jitsu, whatever, MMA, it doesn't matter. If two people fight, and the first time one guy wins, is that guy a better fighter? Possibly, but how could you tell? Because if they have a rematch, like a couple of months later, or maybe not even a month later, because you have enough time to train months later. Let's just say if two guys fight, and they have another fight the very next day, the guy who lost could win, because it's not so much that the guy was a better fighter than you, is that you, at the long story short, you just weren't ready for the fight, or you weren't ready to adapt to their technique. If anybody else seen this Bruce Lee movie, it's called The Game of Death or something. And by the way, I by no way or means or shape or form do I believe Bruce Lee is the greatest fighter ever walked the face of this planet. I think that's nonsense. But let's just talk in terms of with this movie. I think it was called The Game of Death, where Bruce Lee would have to go up this building, and each floor he would fight a different master of a different style. And the idea was, the movie was that there were also two other guys. One guy who had like a rigid style, and one guy who had a fluid style, or something like that. And then it was Bruce Lee who had an adaptable style, or something like that. And then the other two guys would fail because they would never be able to defeat all the masters. But the idea was Bruce Lee's style was so adaptable that he'll be able to adjust to any fight mid-fight. In this sense, that's not what Luffy Zoro Sanji did. The first time they fought, let's say they didn't adjust to this new style they never seen before. They never seen people use Soru. They never seen people kick the air and create air blades. They never seen people poke them and stab them like a bullet. You know what I mean? It was new techniques. They lose the fight, and then it's in Water 7, Sanji loses on the train, and then they make their way to in this lobby, and like Luffy says, man, you know, I ate some meat and I feel better, let's do this again. Now that I've seen these techniques before, now that I've experienced once, you can't, the same trick won't work on me twice, basically. It's that mindset. That's why you can have boxers or something go back and forth where I win and you win and you win. And sometimes you do have like a fighter who might just be dominant and never lose, like a John Jones or something, but I don't believe that was the case here. What's more logical? Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji just dramatically jumped in power in the course of a couple of days? Or they just got unlucky and lost the fight the first time because they were surprised by new techniques? And the next time around, they were more ready for it. I'll put it to you this way. When Sanji attacked Bluno with the Concasseur, his Tekai broke. You know what I mean? Like, and Sanji's the weaker of the two. Up until that point, Luffy and Zoro had no feats of breaking Tekai. Does that mean they couldn't? No, because chapters later, they had Tekai breaking feats. So it was just a matter of, at the time, the Straw Hats didn't, Luffy, Zoro, Sanji didn't do, you can't even say they didn't do their homework because they never met CP9 before. If they ever had a chance to do their homework on CP9's techniques, the fights would have probably went more like they did in his lobby, and that's truly what I believe. When they were more ready for him, they were able to defeat him. I don't think they just got, because I'll put it to you this way, it's the same thing with Crocodile. Luffy lost to Crocodile 3 times over the course of probably like a week or something. Probably not even that much time, probably less than that, probably a couple of days. Luffy never got stronger over the next of the fights. He just got, that's what Crocodile told him. You need to be more adaptable. The way you fight is too lenient. It's too strict. It's easily predictable. You'll never beat me this way. Next time Luffy fights him, he's using techniques like shotgun and spitting water at him and stuff like, you know, And then we even see Luffy learning by the third time he fights Crocodile. You know, he's throwing out pistols, and Crocodile's trying to stab him with the poison hook, and Luffy's pulling his arm out the way and stuff he never did before. He's learning to fight better. He's not getting stronger. I simply believe that by time that the Straw Hats left Water 7, Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji, and they got to Enies lobby and they had that rematch with CP9, they were just fighting better. They did not get stronger. I don't have any reason to believe. That's just like I believe that people say, oh, when did Luffy come up with Snake Man? Talking about the second he left Rushikana Island, he had Snake Man in his pocket. He just never used it. It's that simple. And that's another thing. When people are saying Zoro and Sanji need power-ups and Wano, no, they don't. We've never seen them fight to the fullest of their capacity. We've never seen that happen. We don't. So how can we say they need to power up? We've never seen Zoro and Sanji go through 11-hour fights yet. So how do we know they need to power up? We don't know what they can do. And I guess this is why I'm bringing it up. People say, well, they need to get stronger before they go fight. How do you know they need to get stronger before they fight Kaido? We don't know what they can do. It's your boy, Soulfist, Hell Hydra.